Chapter 14, Global Media in the Digital Age. Four theories of international mass communication. Several American social scientists presented four theories of international mass communication in the mid-1950s. Authoritarian theory. This oldest system of mass communication exists in the authoritarian states that exert direct control over the mass media. These governments use the media to shape public opinion, not to inform. Governments that still practice this system of mass communication exist in communist countries such as China, Cuba, and North Korea. Libertarian theory. Libertarian theory is also called free press theory, and these systems operate under the assumption that individuals should be free to publish whatever they like. In this system, media professionals are supposed to have full autonomy within their organizations. Social responsibility theory. This model best describes the mass media in most democratic societies such as the United States, Canada, France, and the United Kingdom. It operates under the idea that the media should be free from most governmental constraints to provide reliable information to the public. Soviet theory. The roots of this communist system of government control of the press can be traced back to the 1917 Russian Revolution. In this model, the media are subordinate to the government and are only partially censored, because journalists are supposed to be self-regulate content. I will repeat this sentence regarding Soviet theory. In this model, the media are subordinate to the government and are only partially censored because journalists are supposed to self-regulate content. The public sphere, and public opinion. The definitions of what the public and public opinion entail vary a great deal. The idea of the public did not emerge until the 17th century in Europe, when a new class called the bourgeoisie emerged. The tools of communication at that time were primarily newspapers, pamphlets, journals, and other periodicals. So-called salons in France and coffee houses in England allowed intellectuals and opinion leaders to meet, discuss, and debate. The German philosopher and social theorist Jürgen Habermas has coined the concept of the public sphere, describing it as an arena for rational critical debate in ideal terms. Women often ran salons but were still considered outsiders and non-members of the bourgeoisie and were therefore excluded, as were other members of underrepresented groups. The notion of the public sphere still plays a powerful role in the conceptualization of media and mass communication research. The public sphere is key to understanding the formation of public opinion, an essential element of the modern democratic society. Policy decisions are rarely made without first testing public opinion. PR people try to influence the public. Citizens of democratic countries have several communication tools at their disposal to make their opinions known. The circulation of online petitions, the creation of complaint sites and parody sites of politicians, the posting of news scoops on blogs, and the uploading of videos of embarrassing moments in the lives of public and private figures, in which citizens act as citizen reporters. Citizens can also inform the world of injustices that are not covered by the media. Political and socio-economic issues with global media. Broadcast stations are often among the first places to be taken over by the military in a coup to seize the means of controlling and distributing information. Print media can be less effective in countries with low literacy rates or where many different languages are spoken. Authoritarian governments try to monitor and shut down social media and online communication to prevent the rapid distribution of ideas. Censorship of online and mobile communication also occurs because these means of communication are deemed threats to the existing regime or social order. Media in developing countries. The media and other communication technologies are instruments for economic development around the world. Western companies seek out developing countries such as India as sources for relatively cheap software development and computer programming workers. As an English-speaking country, India has become a major producer of media content, including recorded music, motion pictures, and news media. Some countries in Africa have also been selected to help fill the information processing needs of industrial countries. Ghana is a center for database input, for example. Although working conditions in this field may be better than in any other industries in Ghana, the working hours are long and pay is low compared to Western standards. Searching for truth, self-censorship in China. China is an Asian market that is very attractive to Western media because there is such large potential consumer market. However, China blocks access to a wide range of websites, from pornographic sites to those perceived as being critical of the government. The digital divide. Access to the internet in developed nations is high. 80% of people have web access. In countries such as Iceland, Sweden, and Norway, the percentage is even higher, over 90%. As more people worldwide get access online, the gap between those who have access to the internet and those who do not further widens. This phenomenon is called the digital divide. Even though internet usage has grown internationally, particularly among consumers of mobile media, the digital divide continues to persist and widen the gap between the educated and less educated, the rich and the poor. Global media, local values. Media content exposes audiences to different lifestyles and cultures and provides access to new worlds and new ways of thinking. The web offers access to new horizons, especially with video sharing websites such as YouTube and social media. Critics voice concern that there is a lack of diversity of voices as a result of the concentration of media ownership. At the same time, there are more cable channels emerging, such as HGTV. New worlds or cultural imperialism. The term cultural imperialism captures the idea that global media giants promote their programming in foreign markets, dominating domestic media markets. Many shows that have been made in the United States are imported internationally. Grey's Anatomy and The Simpsons are among those shows that have global appeal. Many domestic television and movie production companies have a hard time developing their own content because media products are imported. The production costs of indigenous media make it less viable to produce local programming. Ethical concerns are raised over what kinds of cultural values are transmitted through American entertainment programming. Media critics contend that audiences may lose touch with their native traditions and values by adopting unrealistic and distorted values that are based on a skewed image of the United States. One term that captures this concern about cultural imperialism is media hegemony. The Italian intellectual and scholar Antonio Gramsci argued that mass media have a controlling function in society and are dominated by a ruling elite hegemonic class. Media hegemony suggests that a U.S.-driven global media system will turn the world into a giant commercial marketplace, and there is some evidence to support this view. Convergence and its discontents. The tension between individual independence and social conformity has the potential to be a constant source of societal discontent. Similar tensions arise between global media convergence and local culture. Media convergence may encourage increased cultural homogeneity because various media types such as book publishers, newspaper chains, and TV stations are under common ownership. Globalization of media production. Media production is an international phenomenon. Movies and television shows are internationally co-produced. One example is Iron Man 3, co-produced in China by the Walt Disney Company and China's DMG Entertainment Group. These kinds of joint ventures have significant economic benefits for both American and foreign media companies. One of the effects of such internationalization is that the programs recreate common Hollywood codes and conventions derived from already popular genres. Global media flow. The United Nations Education, Science, and Cultural Organization started to study the flow of news and media entertainment, as well as the role of new technologies with important military and commercial uses around the world about 40 years ago. This examination was dubbed the New World Information and Communications Order. Advances in digital technology since the 1970s have altered the debate about media content and its flow from developed to developing nations. Research shows that 80% of the news distributed globally has been historically produced by Western news agencies based in New York, London, and Paris. Protecting local voices. Many media critics argue that Western media dominate the global flow of news and also display commercial and corporate biases. As a counterbalance, many countries try to provide alternatives to the foreign influx of media by strengthening their internal media content production. Many initiatives in developing nations help promote national media content with government funding. Indigenous, non-commercial media in Malaysia, for example, complement the dominant for-profit media channels from the West. Indigenous voices are especially well suited to community radio, online video, and social media. A neighboring nation. The United States limited funding for the production of music, media, arts, and news and information sources is available through the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Stipends and fellowships are competitive and are difficult to get. Neighboring Canada has a much more vibrant support system for the arts and a flourishing independent film industry. Canadian production grants are awarded in a variety of artistic fields, including media arts, writing, and publishing. At least 35% of the popular music broadcast on commercial radio stations between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. from Monday to Friday must be Canadian. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is required to broadcast Canadian popular music as 50% of its content. These regulations do not apply to the digital distribution of media content via services such as Netflix, for example. A high percentage of Canadians spend their time online, on the average 41 hours online per week and 25 hours watching video. Promoting global voices. Emerging global voices can also be found in television and film. For example, the Al Jazeera Network is a pan-Arab news service that was launched as a media company in 1996. It received $137 million in funding from the Emir of Qatar when it started up. Cybersecurity and media. Hackers from many countries have tried to break into Western computer networks. Cybercrime is a legitimate threat to the American government. According to the FBI, a Chinese-based group was able to hack into the computer networks of Apple, Facebook, and Google in early 2013. Other targets were the Washington Post and the New York Times. Another area of concern is the use of the internet by terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda, who have tapped into the web to organize different cells. The suspects in the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing allegedly accessed Al-Qaeda materials available online to learn about bomb making. The U.S. government is trying to combat terrorist threats by instituting surveillance mechanisms and thereby protecting national security interests. This concludes Chapter 14, Global Media in the Digital Age.